Wait, are we live? Okay, we're live. That was quick.
I am recording.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American
Why,
Reef.
there is a chip about it.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Reed Factory Podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Hitter.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. A couple days later. Hope everyone's had a relaxing time off and enjoyed dinner.
And all the pie and stuffing you can enjoy.
Yeah, and all the food you can, deviled eggs, and casserole, and
Have you ever heard stories of Italian Thanksgiving?
no.
It's just Thanksgiving, but like on the side is just like trays of lasagna and spaghetti and all that shit.
That sounds about right. I mean, I had steaks I didn't have turkey, so we don't do turkey unless a lot of people are coming over. Of course, we didn't do that this year. We didn't have anyone over because all this viral joy that we have. Yeah, I could imagine Italian Thanksgiving, and a big tray of lasagna actually sounds pretty good most of the time. What's that stuff everyone's talking about? It's called Italian wedding cake. I don't know what this is, but people rant and rave about it.
No
like
idea.
It's special cake. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know if anyone had heard about it.
So like, what's that Italian ice cream?
Gelato?
Yeah, gelato. Is it like that where it's just like extra whipped, so it's like softer?
I said I didn't know off the top of my head. I don't know anything about it. I didn't know if anyone had heard about it, but I always hear people raving about it, and then I forget to follow up on it.
Oh yeah, I just remember. So Bon Appetit is finally back.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but almost everybody is gone. But now they have a bunch of people of color on the station now, so that's pretty
Okay.
good. But and Brad's still there, so that's usually what I go for. But like Claire's gone now, that's weird. But Solo's on benching with Babish, so that at least we get to get more Solo. So.
So what was the point behind that? Was it just were all these people being racist, or was Food Network worried they would seem racist? So,
I mean, it's like it wasn't like necessarily like they're being racist. It's just like there was like a lot of unfair work practices that seem to be like majorly focused on people of color at Bon Appetit. Mostly it's like because like somebody said like that Claire was getting like something like $200,000 an episode of Gourmet Makes or something like that.
yeah.
And like Sola was like heavily featured on there because she was always helping Claire out, but Sola was not getting any money to be on that show. She was just getting her salary, which was $50,000 in New York.
Okay. And what were they just like?
So there's like just a bunch of people are like, well, now it seems weird because like you go back and watch like stuff that Brad's doing, and like he'll just like yell at people and like, hey, come over here and look at this, and you realize like, oh, like when those people come over here and look at this, they provide their expertise, like waste their time in that day away from what their actual job duties are, and then also don't get paid for it, but the other people do.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's only fair. I heard there was a big scandal. I just didn't read what the hell it was.
Yeah, well, there's that, and then like there's like someone like one of the guy who was leading it was like he had some what was it? He was like dressed as like a cholo for Halloween, so there people are saying it was racist because like they're saying he had like essentially like I guess brown face on. When you see the photo, it's like, well, that doesn't look good, but I'm not sure if like that was intended to be like. I'm not sure like how malicious that was, but at all. But you know, you wrap it up and everything going on there, like it doesn't look good. And there was like the bit where like, there was Sola and I forget the other. There's like an Indian lady and like he just confused them like during a like an audience meet and greet thing. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean the other one. Yeah, stuff like that. That goes over well.
So a lot of it was just kind of like pay composition disparity. Also, like, there was a funny thing people were pointing out is like if you went, it might have changed now, but if you went to like the Bon Appetit YouTube page, there's like a banner like splashes like it's kind of looked at like here's the workplace at Bon Appetit, and it's like they're saying it looks like a college like a welcoming guide where it's just like they got all the diversity they can like on one page, and then like you watch the videos on Bon Appetit, and it's like none of those people are on the video.
Yeah, it's a little bit of disparity. I mean, I've watched enough of their segments. Like, I like what they do with like deconstructing stuff and redoing it, but at the same time, I didn't realize how fucking bad it was over there, as far as that went.
So did people actually lose their jobs then?
Yes.
Because like the on-air talent that was just working.
No,
there?
a lot of the on-air talent left because
Okay.
of this.
Oh.
And then but that came up opportunities for other people. Well, there's also stuff like because it's Bon Appetit's also a magazine. I guess it's like widely circulated.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people like working on there, and like people would come up and suggest like sort of like ethnic food spreads that we can do a magazine of, and then they would just say like nobody's interested in that. So stuff like that where it just like. Yeah, I don't know how malicious this is, but like when you add all the little things up, it just seems like, oh yeah, you're not giving anybody opportunities or compensation.
Yeah. Well, they're back, so hopefully that'll be interesting again for you.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched. I think I've watched one segment though. I just kind of because now you have a bunch of new people, and then you always like Brad, but now Claire is gone. Like a lot of people are gone. So I just kind of like I haven't. I think there's only been 2 Brad segments, but I haven't given the other people a try yet. But Solo's on Binging with Babish, so like so her stuff's been pretty fun. And I'm sure Claire will like probably open up her own YouTube channel at some point, and she'll be doing the same thing she did at Bon Appetit, or maybe not. I don't know.
So what was your shopping adventure?
Oh yeah, so like I had I cleared up some space in the gym area, and I was gonna go get some weights
Okay.
because I have a Bowflex, but that's not really like that's good for conditioning and like rehabilitation, but it's not really good for like fat loss and muscle gain. Like you really need weights for that stuff. So I was gonna get like those sets of weights where it's like you can select it and it's just like one set and you select it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And then I went to the Dick's Sporting Good website, and like I went to the specific store I wanted to go to, and then like I made the number one mistake with that stuff where you look it up online and then go to the store, is that just because you went to the store page and you see stuff, you see a thing and it has a price on it, doesn't mean they fucking have it at all. So
Okay.
all the weight sets I was just like wishing for in my head, it's like, oh yeah, I'll get that. Go there, they have fucking nothing except for like one bench that I was
Okay.
looking for, but they had no weights essentially whatsoever, unless you want to get like 2-pound weights. Like they got plenty of those,
Yeah.
but they don't
Jumpy.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have no real weights there, so that was a bummer.
But did they have toilet paper and water?
Probably not Dick's Sporting. Well, maybe they had something in the sporting section. Like,
That's just the hard stuff to get around here now. We're back to that again.
It's not crazy here. Like, you can still get toilet paper, but it's like there's a distinct hole in the toilet paper section. Though, so.
Yep, toilet paper and water started disappearing like 2 weeks ago here. Now all of a sudden it's nowhere to be found, even though they have signs up, one per customer. It's like, well, people must be sending all their kids in. You know.
I shouldn't have backed off my investments of buying giant packs of toilet paper for $200 a piece. So. Well, because that was the thing around here for, or at least my wife reported her coworkers are dealing with. They bought like a little 4-pack of toilet paper to get the single person through most of the week, and it was like somebody offered $100 for those 4 rolls. And it was like, yeah, take it. It's like, buy the Gazette, wipe your ass with that for a week. You made $100.
Yeah, I don't understand why that happens, but it does.
I remember the other shopping experience I had for this past like few weeks. I almost got a PS5 several times.
Oh.
Several PS5s.
Well, like me, I was telling Nathan that Walmart was having a release, and then like we tried to get in, and like they were immediately sold out as soon as it hit 9 o'clock. It was immediately sold out. The previous time they released it online, like I had gotten a PS5 into my shopping cart, but then was not able to buy it, but it's still in the shopping cart, and so like I had like an extra like leg up where it's like all I had to do was hit refresh and click buy, and then for some reason it was having me buy it from the store nearby. I was like, fuck it, whatever, and I go to buy it, and it just like errors out and nothing happens, and then they're out of stock. And then so there's a Twitter account called Wario64, and he usually puts up a lot of like video game deals and stuff, and he's been putting up stuff about like where you can get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. And he put up one where from Kohl's, like the department store Kohl's, and it said on there, link still up. So I go to Kohl's, and it was like a bundle, so it was like $700 because they make you buy a game and an extra controller, and those controllers for the PS5 are super expensive because they do neat stuff. Where they can put resistance on the trigger, so you can have like more of like pulling the trigger on a gun where there's like a break.
Wake up, okay.
Yeah. So I put it in the cart. I bought it. I was like, are they seriously gonna let me buy this? And then like I get an email. It's like, your order's been confirmed. We'll ship it to you within this time period. And then like a day later, it's like, we're sorry, we're out of stock of the thing you ordered.
Yeah, we went out. It was today, as a matter of fact. We got a call. We have a guy that keeps track of stuff for us, and we've done deals and things in the past. We went to Best Buy, and he's like, yeah, check that out, and he was talking to his friend there, and then they called us, and it's like, yeah, go see him, and he might know. And we talked to this guy for like 20 minutes, and he goes, yeah, really, the Best Buy stores are not stocking them. Not because they can't get them, they're just going to sell them online because they do not want to deal with the violence of putting them in stores. That's actually what he told us. He's like, we're not going to deal with just massacres for people trying to get these fucking things. Which, like you said, there's no launch games for them. There's, at least for the Xbox, there's nothing like you gotta have.
There's a PS5. There's a game that comes with it. Called Astrobot's Playroom. That seems really cool because it really it does stuff with that controller that makes it seem neat.
Yeah,
they even do things where like the vibration of the controller is like really specific, so they can mimic like the character walking, but they can like do things specifically. It's like, oh, here's the character that vibrates where the character's walking on like metal, and it's different when like the character's walking on sand, and you can feel the difference in the controller.
Huh. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But what is a PS5 worth? Like $500 or $600?
It's $499, so $500.
Yeah,
that's the base version, though, right?
That's the one with the disc, and then there's a $399 version.
Oh, the digital one. Okay.
And well, you can't get either, so it doesn't matter.
Well, no, it's just the digital ones are usually cheaper just because they don't have all the moving parts inside of it besides just the hard drive.
Well, yeah, it's just missing a Blu-ray player, but it still has the same size hard drive, which isn't a lot. It's like a terabyte.
Huh.
And considering like if you download Modern Warfare,
All the patches and shit, yeah, it's like almost half
it's
that.
120 gigs. I mean, it's like over a tenth of your hard drive space for one fucking game. So yeah, that's gonna be a problem. It's a little bit easier on the Xbox. You can get like this M2 drive that you can just plug right into it, like a terabyte. But that shit costs almost $200, which that's almost the price of the S, the Series S, which is the cheaper one, which I think is like $200.
Well, that's like the new Macs. Like, because my Mac here, this is a terabyte of memory.
Yeah.
And the new one's like the biggest you can get is like 500 gigs. But it comes with like unlimited cloud storage.
Yeah.
So what the computer does is automatically puts everything in the cloud that you're not using on a daily basis. And so that's because everything's all solid state now. So they don't, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, they're basing everything on the cloud, I guess. 'Cause I noticed
Well, I
that.
mean, like, if you're not gaming, you like a terabyte's fine if you're not gaming. But if you're doing gaming or you're doing like video production, like a terabyte's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the only I don't get anything on Black Friday. But the only thing that I usually get on Black Friday is like, oh fuck, a 2 terabyte Western Digital drive for $150. Like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
get one of those.
Oh, I
So
got.
the
I
hard
got-
drives in. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, the hard drives in the new consoles, they solid state or they original fucking disk drives.
They're solid state, but they're like there's something special about them, where like it's something new. I can't even remember what it is, but it's like something new where like the data, it's like more efficient data transfer or something like that, so they're like even faster.
Yeah.
And like how they build and they built the systems around it to take advantage of it, so like the load times are like really quick for like any game. Because there's actually a bunch of games I want to get right now, but I'm holding off on getting them on a new system. Because like even though my PC can do it, I think all the new consoles are probably better than my PC right now, but I'm not sure. But I don't even have a TV that can take advantage of that shit, so I don't got HDR, 4K, nothing. So it probably doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can get a 4K computer or decent monitor, gaming monitor for a couple $100. It's not too bad anymore.
4K, but not HDR. If you want to get HDR monitor, that shit starts at like $1,200.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is like
I haven't looked at Black TV.
at that point, I could just get a TV for that price and just have a TV on my fucking desk and hook the computer up to it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I would say it's worth it.
Yeah.
You can get one like mine. Put it on your desk. It's 80 or 75-inch TV.
Yeah, just don't go for your desk. Just mount it on the wall behind the desk.
Yeah.
Your desk will frame in the television. That's how cool it is.
Yeah, so yeah, and I don't even know like I mean, COVID probably like slowed down production of the PS5s and the Xboxes, so yeah, like best I hear, like you're probably not going to be able to get one until probably February.
Oh, I know. I read something in the journal that said the reason that they're just a slow launch on those is they're losing money with every unit they sell.
Yeah, that's nothing.
They
new.
don't have any launch titles that are really like. They don't have like a Halo or something
No.
coming out. You have
Yeah,
to
they
have
don't. They delayed Halo.
They have delayed it twice now.
Yeah.
So there doesn't seem to be any impetus for them to put out these big money losing machines with no games to kind of bed their loss. So they're like, yeah, we're not producing 500,000 a week because we throw $300 out. They said like 300 out the door with every Xbox, and like I think it's like almost 400 with every PS4. Like the guy had all the numbers. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
mean that's typical. Like the only manufacturer that actually makes money on the hardware is Nintendo,
yeah,
and that's another thing. It's like this is how they're not producing enough PS5s and Xbox Series X is because even though they're selling out as soon as they go on sale, the Switch is still the top selling console of the week or of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, because Nintendo's like Apple, like they own all the architecture and everything. It's just like product. You know, they don't have to deal with third-party stuff and all that. So.
Well, yeah, they like whatever system, like you buy their systems because they're gonna put out a game for it that you want to get.
Yeah, they control the entire.
The only PS5 exclusive right now I'm looking forward to is that they did a remake of Demon Souls.
Okay.
Or I guess Demon's Souls. It's possessive, which is fucking weird. It's like, I don't know. Have you ever heard of Dark Souls?
Yeah, we talked about it.
So it's like technically not, but like the first game in like that kind of that series type was Demon's Souls for PS3. But it wasn't until Dark Souls where it really got popular. So like Demon's Soul, the Dark Souls was available for both systems, but Demon's Souls is a PlayStation exclusive, and so they did a remake of it, and people are pretty they seem to like it. They don't like some of the design changes, like and artistic wise, but they say like the game plays nice and like for the most part looks good.
Oh,
yeah, that's good.
But also you play that game for a specific purpose. Like it's super frustrating and weird and like that was the game designer where he talked about like he wanted to make a game because he based on his experience with like reading English books but not really knowing the English language and just kind of like coming away with a vagueness of what the story is and like not being able to like know everything but kind of just like fill in the gaps yourself. Like that's how he designed the game.
Oh, okay.
Which seems lazy, but like people there's stuff there. Like if you want to get into the story, like you have to read the item descriptions, which is really stupid. But
yeah, they got it. Yeah, they insert the story that way.
Yeah, but it's still like even vague and it's like okay, well there's some detail here. It's like I don't necessarily know how it applies, but I'll connect those in my head somehow. But yeah, there's kind of a collective storytelling that like people play those games where it's like this is what I think's going on, and it's like oh this is what I think's going on. It's like, well, there's no way to confirm it, so oh well.
Yeah, it's my story now. Well, for my birthday, my big gift is this is one I got myself because nobody else knew what it was. I went out and pulled the trigger. I don't know if you can see that.
Harder and Steenbeck.
Yep. Got me a German airbrush.
Oh, cool.
Got me the Infinity C2, which this thing is actually pretty much solid brass coated in it's actual triple coated chromoly steel or triple coated chrome. So you can put like mineral acid through this thing and it won't eat the paint or won't eat the finish off of it. It won't won't do anything. It comes apart because you have to get it and you go to their website and there's some German lady who makes you put it through its paces. Shows you like the different because this has the different settings like right on the back here. You just press this and it's like I want to go to that setting, and then you click the detent ball and it goes in. So that's your restricted flow for how wide a pattern you want to shoot or how narrow. Air versus paint volume. I did notice with this, though, you really have to thin the paint because this is a detail airbrush. This isn't going to replace anything I have. This is when I get into the real close detail and I want to, like shoot some colors in there or do some basing or something. It's like this is what this is going to do. And yeah, based on playing with it for a few hours yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, this is a whole lot better. I'm almost shooting, it's like 50-50 ratio paint to thinner because this is it's got the real fine tip on it or needle in it. So, but it comes apart really easy. It's intuitive. You pull the needle out of the front, which is you run a much lower chance of breaking your needle than pulling it through the back through all the spring-loaded works, which every other airbrush does. I mean, I don't think Badger does. Yeah, so I finally got me like the best airbrush you can have. So. Yeah, it's pretty
For the low price of your soul, or
pretty much the price of a good quality handgun.
oh, well, that's not great, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, we're not into like thousands of dollars or anything here, but it's a lot of money for just a hobby thing. But
It's a hobby been going on for like 10 years, right? So
yeah, I mean it's a hobby that I put a lot of time into. And model building is the way I do it is not horribly expensive. Because I just free build models. Now, Andrew, like you that Warhammer stuff, that's really expensive.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just like my next big project is a U-boat, big scale U-boat from World War II, and that's and the only reason I got it is because I've seen people like pro finish those things, and it's like, oh, they're using Dremels and they're using this paint technique and that paint technique. See, because a lot of the stuff I've been doing, because I only have 2 airbrushes that are fairly they're good airbrushes, but they're fairly primitive. Like they don't have the detail settings. So I do what you call a lot of paint removal, where I paint something, then put a coat of paint flaker on it, and then I'll put something over that, and then I'll hit it with a toothbrush, and that makes it look aged and worn and chipped. With this airbrush, it's so fine, I can just add those details and not have to have that paint removal step in the middle. I still do paint removal on some things, but there was a lot of things I was doing just working around the tools I had. Now I can't just say, well, I'm limited, because now I'm not. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to get like a stereo microscope or something eventually to do some, because my flip down magnifiers, it's like those are good, but they don't get close enough. I don't know. There's some lab around here that's supposedly closing. One of the guys in the club was telling me about it. He's like, they got those stereo moving microphones. It's like, are they gonna sell them? I was like, yeah, they might get rid of them. I was like, yeah, if it's a decent price, I'll get one. Because those are better than the flip down things, because they don't fuck your eyes up. So, but they're also really, really expensive. That's why you got to wait for like metallurgy labs to go out of business. Then you can get one. But I'm actually, if I start getting into stuff like that, I'm going to need to build a workspace.
yeah.
But I have plenty of saws and tools now, and I can build desks and everything else I might need to any size I could imagine. Just waiting for the price of lumber to come down.
I got something new.
What'd you get?
So my mouse, which I really liked, but like it was just randomly double clicking at times. I didn't want to. So like I didn't want like like when you're hitting to buy something like on Amazon and want like accidentally buy some shit twice. So I was looking, it's like, all right, I need to get a new mouse. I mean, I could probably fix it if I just like cleaned it, but I just put it to the side for now.
Yeah.
So I went with I probably could have got something just like actually cheaper than my new mouse that like worked just as well, but I went with probably like the most interesting mouse I could find on the market, which is the Swift Point Z.
Okay.
Which is
I'll look it up while you're talking about it. Oh, that looks interesting.
So yeah, so you got 2 buttons here, so those are your normal click buttons. And there's another 2 right here. So you got basically 4 buttons on your mouse clicks.
Okay.
And you can add different kinds. There's ones that come out farther, but I didn't like it, so I put these ones on because they're shorter. You got these buttons here, which those are under your fingers, so you can activate them with like the inside of your finger, like while you're still pressing another button here.
Okay.
And these also like they rock back and forward, so those are 2 button presses. So you can also like curl your finger back and pull up on it.
Huh.
And then also there's 2 buttons off to the side here of your main click, so you can add those. It also has there's like a gyroscope in it, so there's like leaning stuff you can do.
Huh.
I haven't figured that out yet, but it's probably not that useful. And you got your side clicks right here, which is that's pretty normal for a normal mouse. And it's got like really, you can really fine tune it if you want to. There's some weird shit on the bottom here where it's for the tilt function, but like you never use the tilt function, so I don't know
That was a Kickstarter program, huh?
Yes, yes, it was. Yeah, there's also an LCD screen on the side here, which you can put stuff there. If you tilt it, you can like activate the menu. You can change the DPI if you want to like get finer controls or stuff like that. Which that's what I liked about my previous mouse is that you could change the DPI like just on the top, which was good for video games because then like if you want to like flip around and shoot a guy behind you, you want really high DPI. You want the mouse to move really fast. But if you're doing something like if you're looking down a Cypress scope, you want that to move like very slowly so you can do fine controlled shooting from far away.
Okay.
So with this, it's like you can't really change it as easy as you could with my other mouse. But there are some functions on it. There's what they call a deep click, where you can set it up, or if you just press and hold it, there's like another button just for holding it. So yeah, you can do a lot of shit with this. But yeah, it's probably the most interesting mouse. So I picked it up. It was actually cheaper than my last mouse, but because this one's just wired. My other mouse was wireless, and it was like the best. It was like the best wireless mouse you could get. Like it just had something about its connection was better than other wireless mouses. Even though I can never really take advantage of it, but like it boasted that it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'll get that. Like I don't know. I always enjoyed like those Microsoft wireless mouses, but I've recently been going for the gaming mouses. So. Also, like they have these little panels on the side here, which that's kind of like where I hold my. Because I don't. It seems like people do this where like they put their whole hand on top and they can like access. But like what I do is I pinch the side of the thing, so I always have control of it.
That's what I do. That's my. I grab my mouse on the side and. But of course, mouse is all single click, so it's weird. It's different.
But like, yeah, there's like a. I don't know. Sometimes like I did that when I had mouse pads, because then like you'd always like run out of real estate, and so that was just an easy way to like pick it up.
Yeah.
But what I actually do is I don't use mouse pads anymore. I just tape a sheet of paper to the desk, and that's my mouse pad.
Oh. Okay.
So there's no part where there's like the thing with a mouse pad where you kind of slide off the mouse pad and like it falls a little bit. Like with a piece of paper, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Although it's a little weird with my desk because there's a glass top to it. So if the laser gets away from the paper, it doesn't know how to read through the glass and bounce back. It gets all fucked up. So you always have to keep it on the paper. But I always just tape more paper to my desk.
Yeah, I use a. What do I use? It's a cutting, like a rotary cutting mat. You ever seen those? They're like gray and black.
Not sure. Like, what are they meant for?
For like seam work on clothing.
Oh, okay.
With round cutters, and you can. And I just had one that was I forget what happened to it, but I just cut it down and made it into my mouse pad because it tracked very quickly across that surface.
Yeah.
Because I repainted and refinished this desk myself, and the place I was using the mouse, like after a few years, the finish just started wearing the mouse, and I was like, "Oh, what's on the bottom of my mouse?" Well, it's wood finish, so I was like, oh, "Okay, that's gonna ruin something." So I made my little cutting board into a ad hoc mouse pad.
There's also a weird attachment to this where you can put it on the bottom. It's like this weird like half a bowl thing, and it's supposed to like emulate an analog stick.
Okay.
So you could use it for like it's called a joystick thing. It's like it's supposed to like turn your mouse into a joystick or make it easier for driving games.
Okay.
But it seemed like total bullshit. Like I was trying it out. I was like, how's this supposed to work? This seems awful. So that's just another attachment I'm not going to use. You know, it was a Kickstarter promise, so they got to throw it in there. So
yeah. Well, that was my big birthday present to me. Because my wife was like, "What do I want?" I said, Harder Steenbeck Infinity CR2, and she's like, "What?" I just check it out. So yeah.
Oh my God! Thanks, honey.
Thank you. And then
just what I wanted.
Our Christmas gift to each other was we got a new mattress. Because you get older and
What are you doing with the old one?
Oh, he just threw it away. It's no good. I mean, it was like 8 years old. And
Somebody was telling a story on another podcast I was listening to about how like they're in San Francisco and like they just went up to the rich neighborhoods looking for like people to throw shit out on the lawn. It's like, I'll pick that up, and because it's a rich neighborhood, like somebody just threw out a mattress. And then so they took that and they've been using it ever since. It was like an expensive mattress. Like, that's brave to like take a mattress and just hopes this isn't full of bed bugs.
Full of parasites. No, we're into old people mattresses now because we don't have the one things that recline and that nonsense, but we have our bed. This new one is so stiff. It's because you get older, the harder mattresses are better because it keeps everything kind of in a line.
Yeah.
And it's like this one you could literally bounce quarters off of. But we've needed one for about 2 years, and it's like, well, let's make this our big Christmas present to each other. Because I don't know what to buy you, and you don't know what to buy me, and we don't really need anything, so we're doing that. But it wasn't crazy expensive or anything. It's just because they're not going to last more than 5 or 6 years, and then you got to replace them. Especially with 2 people sleeping on. If it's one person, that's still different. But yeah, but those guys had some fun getting it in there. Because a lot of mattresses are floppy. Like you can kind of bend them around corners, but not this one. This one's rigid. It was 2 guys.
To the bed frame or the what is it? The box frame? What's the thing that goes on the bottom?
Yeah, box spring.
Okay.
And they had 2 guys, they were from like the Middle East or something. And one of these guys was like in his 60s and one of them was really young. And, we're all trying to keep our distance. And so we had the old mattress because they take it away. That's a service. You don't have to pay for that here. They just take it because they're really hard to get rid of. You got to like go through the city and get special tags. And there's a group that comes pick it up, or they can go throw it in their dumpster. It's like, okay, what's that option? And, so these guys were putting the new one in there. We had everything cleared out, and all of a sudden I hear stuff rolling around, and one of these guys is like, yabba, yabba, yabba. And I was like, oh, what's yabba, yabba, yabba? That doesn't sound good. So I go in there. The one old guy is trying to pick up the end, and the other guy who weighs like 150 pounds, he's practically folded over in half. He's got this mattress on him. Now I go, oh, hold on, guys. So I grab the end, and me and him guided onto the bed. And I was like, there you go, man. I think they just sent 2 of you, and like the one guy, like I said, he weighed less than my son. He was like 150 pounds, and the other guy was like in his 60s. It's like, oh boy, they don't speak a lick. They're all just talking to each other in Arabic. So I gave him $20. I said, here, go have lunch on me. Don't worry, just get the old mattress out of here. We'll be cool. And so yeah, that was funny. It's like, oh, what's going on in here? And I walked in here and I'm like, what am I seeing? Why is this guy folded in half? Am I going to have a workman's comp claim in my house? But that was funny. It's sad, but yeah, it's like, I think they should send more than 2 people, but okay. Because we don't have big rooms in this house, and it's a king-size mattress, and it's just hard to move it around. Especially when it's like rigid, like you can't fold corners with it. But yeah. So that was that.
Should we get into the 2-minute warning?
Yeah, let's call up the list and see what we got to talk about. Oh, real quick, Andrew, I saw you got a new dog.
Yeah.
What dog is it?
It's a mix between a Pomeranian and a Japanese Chin.
Okay.
So she's really lively and likes pulling like random shit up on the bed. So like mail or my shoe or just like weird shit she finds. And she likes eating Kleenex and receipts, so don't have to feed her. And
Yeah, that's good. Don't eat all the paper.
My
waste.
dog in my garbage can.
So we wanted another dog for a while just to replace the one that died, or our dog that died last year. Not as a just to get back to normal kind of. And it's been nice so far. Just
Your other dog needs a friend.
She does, but they hate each other still so far. So they don't really want anything to do with each other. Well, I mean, the puppy wants something to do with the other dog, but my my older dog doesn't want anything to do with her because she's like, she's really fucking annoying. She steals my shit. She doesn't do anything besides hurt me. And it's like, yeah, I can understand. So hopefully at some point they'll get along. But right now they're not exactly best of friends. We've only had her for 2 weeks as of this Monday, so not exactly a long time to get along.
Okay, well, cute looking dog. 2 dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, we want another small dog. We didn't want another big dog. We can't. The big dog already hogs most of the bed anyway. You can't really afford to do that again. So
Yeah. Well, we got Bailey a bark box for her. Her day is her birthday. She's 2 years old,
oh.
and so we had a bark box thing, and it was delivered. Actually, showed up on her birthday, and that's pretty crazy. This thing just comes just packed full of toys and stuff. It's like, wow, and food. It's like,
Oh, you see, they have a Home Alone toy and treat theme.
that's what you got. That's what
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. I so badly wanted to sign up just for that, but I'm like, because this dog likes tearing off limbs and tags of toys, so I don't know if she would be up for the toys that are in that box necessarily.
Bailey's more of a carrier. She's not a tear it up dog, but she runs around with it in her mouth, and then she'll set them down and then go get another one. And then likes to do tug of war. But, I mean, if you're getting 3, toys every month or something, like, yeah, go ahead and tear the shit out of it. More so, yeah, we decided to, that's her Christmas. Because we got her a dog bed, and she just looked at it and walked away. Like, I sleep in your bed. I don't know what this shit's all about, but I'm not. We put it on the floor even and tried to encourage her. Here, lay down here. Because you won't have 2 people rolling over on you all night. She's like, no, don't want to do with that bed, so... Glad we didn't spend a lot of money on that.
Well, I mean, you could take my dog. She pees on my dog stuff.
Yeah. I've never had the dual dog thing. We've always just have one because they get into that weird domination behavior. And it's like, okay, I don't know what kind of psychology I'm dealing with here, but...
Yeah, there's no need for it really, but at the same time, yeah, it's a fun dynamic.
The only reason I've never done the 2 dogs is because the double vet bills. Because our vet bills every year are pretty comprehensive. Because it's like, oh, this is our 1 dog, and so we got to do everything we can. And it's like, oh yeah, this adds up in a hurry. And you can't claim it on your taxes. It's like, oh god.
I have to look in this. I remember that there was something about like the person that like wrote about like alpha and beta like males and in terms of like animals and stuff like that. Like I think it's a woman that wrote it, but like they wrote it and then like the way people ran with it was like the opposite of what she meant or something like that. So like all these people are like talking about like, yeah, alpha male. It's like, yeah, I'm the leader of the pack and stuff like that. Apparently that's all just based on their own imagination. It's not the actual article that they're basing it on.
It's just like, well, humans organize themselves in this way, so we'll just template this over that, and it's totally against the science.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just like a flashcard for idiots. I don't really do any research on this. I just want to.
It's like another thing to just discount Joe Rogan for.
Oh, Joe Rogan believes in that stuff?
Well, yeah, it's like everything. Well, because he's always talking about badass people, and then it always leads to like, yeah, alpha males, like, man, they lead the pack. Like, look at him, and like this guy and stuff like that. And it's like half his conversations, but also like he's all over the place. So. And
he does redeem himself at sometimes though. He's like, hey, don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. And
yeah,
this is all
yeah. You have to remember he's getting high and talking for 3 hours. So yeah, you can't. It's like other people lend him too much authenticity. It's like to have fun listening to Joe Rogan is you can't give him authenticity. You have to it's like listening to conspiracy theory stuff where it's like, oh, this is fun, like playful ideas, but like when you believe in it, it's like, oh, I'm not into it.
Yeah, that's what people misunderstand about me when I talk to people sometimes. It's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, so it's like, oh, you're part of the club? No. I'm just studying far. I don't believe any of this is real. It's like, how can you read this stuff and not think it's real? It's like, oh, it's real easy because the world doesn't work that way. But it's like, there's nothing convincing in that. It's like it's kind of like my version of fiction. It's like, yeah, I'll read about this because it's fun. But,
Or like you know, I always like dismiss a lot of things. Like anytime Joe Rogan says something like, "There's this study," and I know immediately he misinterpreted the study, or it's not actually a study. Like it's like just something that's just an experiment, and then people extrapolate a study out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's no controlled thing or anything like that. Or somebody just read the abstract and then just like took everything from the abstract, which, you know, like, yeah, an abstract gives you a general idea what the study is, but like you really need to like read like their methodology and stuff like that. And like it's like, okay, like what are they doing? What do they actually do? What does it measure and stuff like that? Like it's so easy to misinterpret studies. Like just anytime you read a news article where they mention a study and you know it's just total bullshit. They just like read the abstract and it's like, oh, what does this mean for the rest of the world? And it's like, well, probably nothing. Did anybody validate the study yet?
No, that'd be too much work. I don't know what you're trying to imply here, but we know that
It's like all the urban legends when I was a kid growing up about how the oil companies bought patents off of people that made carburetors for cars that would get 500 miles to the gallon and stuff. And like, oh, that's a cool story. And then you actually learn how cars are made and how gasoline engines work and what the laws of thermodynamics are. And you're like, oh, well, unless they invented a carburetor that was adding gasoline from another parallel universe, there's no way that car could get that kind of mileage just based on metering fuel out. Or unless the car was made of titanium and only weighed 800 pounds, but looked like a Chevy Nova. It's like that's not. But those things sound cool. But then you like, and believe me, no expert in science here, but I do like the science of why things work. And once you start learning about how limited things are, it's like, well, all these stories are just fanciful and it's a cool idea, but it's like it doesn't work. That's one thing I remember because smart people would tell me this growing up, you know, hanging around the car guys and working on the cars and all that. And they'd be like, yeah, you know, there's a patent out there for a carburetor that does it. And these guys know better than I do how machinery works and stuff, but yet they still believe that that's like possible in some way.
Or a car that just ran on water.
Yeah, cars that run on water, which they have things like that.
Yeah,
but it's like it requires a level of complexity rivaling a nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
And you're creating a lot of, you know, you're breaking away hydrogen from oxygen, and you're creating a lot of, you know, explosive gas that you got to deal with.
Hydrogen fuel cells, but like when they talk about it, it's like, dude just put water in his gas tank and drives around. It's not how that works.
No, well, they're using H2O2.
Yeah.
But they're removing the weak oxygen.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm basically talking out my ass, but that's just how it works.
Well, there's only something recently there's an F1 YouTube channel called Chain Bear.
Okay.
And he is I don't think he's an engineer, or at least he might have studied engineering, but like really what he makes money for his actual job and what he's incredibly good at is explaining very complicated ideas very simply to very rich people.
That's a good job.
And so yeah, he was explaining
He's like a venture capitalist that got into this somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's like a professional, like what do you call it? The PowerPoint presentation. That's kind of like his job.
Yeah.
But with like engineers and tech people, tech firms, stuff like that. And he's British too, so that helps.
Yeah, that accent always adds 15 IQ points, whether it's deserved.
But anyways, he was explaining how, what's the next step for F1? Are they going to keep the hybrid cars? Because they're not going to go fully electric because Formula E is already there. So they're looking to like doing hydrogen fuel cells. And there's two different versions. There's one where it's just like you're saying, where it's just a hydrogen fuel cell, it breaks away in oxygen, burns it, and stuff like that. And then there's one where it's like a combustible hydrogen fuel cell, where it's still a combustion engine. It's just using hydrogen and oxygen in various ways. But like it's still like it's like technically, well, it's like one of those things where like, yeah, the result is water like coming out of the tailpipe and a bunch of other shit that's not good for the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's basically water, but with a lot of heavy metals.
Yes.
And other things like yeah.
So.
And you're running the Hindenburg.
Or is that there's the weird I forget the Formula E. They have like this generator they use to power the cars to charge them the night before they race, and it's like it was something like hydrogen fuel cells were they couldn't travel in the air because they're too susceptible to braking, like when they're in airplanes.
Yep.
And so that I forget the name of the company, but like it's some sort of water they use to power it, and like it's like, hey, you can taste it, and they're like having like the battery and open it up, and it's like having people taste the battery because it was just water, but it was just there's something in it, I don't know, like sugar or some shit, I don't know, but it can travel through the air. That's why they use it.
Oh, okay.
It's in the documentary like And We Go Green, which I believe is on Hulu.
Sideline. I've been seeing a lot of the new F-150s are starting to they're getting to they're giving them out to like the journalists and stuff to review them and stuff. And they had the new hybrid F-150, and this guy was reviewing it, and it has I didn't realize how sophisticated those things are, like getting like Teslas now. Yeah, and I didn't even know, and I build the damn thing, so I didn't even know, but I haven't actually had hands-on with one either. But they had the hybrid one, and you roll down the tailgate, and it's like it has rulers built into it, like just molded into the plastic, and then it has these weird buttons that you push, and it's just like a flap. It goes in, and that's for being able to clamp down wood to saw it. You can put your C clamps in there. Before the guys were complaining they were putting the C clamps just all the way around the bed and tightening them down. Of course, it was putting dents in their tailgate or whatever. So they just reinforced the tailgate and put those notches in there where you just press a button, it goes in, you put your C clamp in. And then you plug in the damn table saw to the back of the truck. Got a 120 outlet. And you and you just run a table saw and measure what it's all. This is all for like workman type stuff. But the hybrid one, you can park the truck and then put it in a mode. It's like called power plant, and you determine how many. I don't know if it's volts or amps or whatever. How much equipment you're going to be running, because there's a whole bank of things on that you can plug in, and it just runs the engine and charges that battery to run power tools at a job site. But it doesn't run the engine. It's not normal. It's called power plant mode. So it's not driving. It's not using those accessories. It's just running the engine to power the
just like
battery.
It's just a generator unto itself.
It's just a generator, yeah. But you determine the amount of amperage. There's like and it has a screen like this big, like it's like a big giant iPad screen, and it has all kinds of dials, and you can meter it out or whatever. And you can run multiple plug-in tools. You can run a electrically powered jackhammer from the back of that truck. And then it has this mode you can put it in where you press the button and the shifter falls down, and then you can pull your armrest up, and it's a completely flat surface, and it has a plug where you can plug a computer in, like a laptop computer or whatever. And then the seats go completely back. But they're designed in such a way as when they go back, if you put them all the way back, not only does the seat go all the way back, but the thing you're sitting on comes up, so it's actually a level surface that you can lay on and sleep in your car. And the headrest is designed in such a way that you can pull it up where it will actually be a pillow. So if you're on the job site, either you can't leave or you show up early, you can just take a nap in your truck, which is kind of it's a good idea, but it's also like a grim insight into the future. In 10 years, are they going to be advertising minivans where a family of 4 can live in these? We have the new portable toilet in the back where it just uses engines to grind up the shit and throw it out on the freeway. Where are we going with these live-in cars? But yeah, the new now, mind you, you hear all that stuff and you're like, oh, that's awesome. I don't work on a construction site, but I could see where that would be useful. Then you hear the price on it, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a very expensive truck. They just have the regular models, like what I would be interested in, where it's a truck and it does some cool stuff, but it's basically just a box bed and a nice big truck to sit in. You don't have to have all that whiz bang, but it's interesting that they do. It's like, because all the reviewers said, yeah, they're just giving Tesla a run for their money now, because these things are so sophisticated. Like they were showing, like you can turn the lights on in different ways. Now you have to have it in park for this, but say you drop something out back. Well, now you have these buttons you can press on this touch screen that'll turn on the auto lights, the headlights, the reverse lights, and the backup light. And then there's a third light in the bed that you can press a button, and it's just a really bright light that shines on the ground. And they were doing this at night, and like the whole area was illuminated. And this wasn't with light bars or anything. This was just with the equipment built onto the truck. It was doing this stuff, and I thought, well, that's pretty astounding. And it has not one, not two, but 3 reverse-looking cameras. And a lot of that's for trailer haul mode, tow mode, because 2 of those cameras will simulate the image as if the trailer is not there. So you can actually just see behind you, even though you're pulling a big trailer. It'll take a picture of what's out and around you and kind of create the environment. So you can tell if a car's behind you or whatever. I know Chevy does that too.
Yeah, they have one where I forget how they do it, but like it looks like the picture of the car from above.
Yeah,
but it's not like there's a drone up there. It's just like simulated in some way. Where it's just like taking a picture of the ground and then it puts a picture of your car in the middle, but it looks like you're driving it.
Yeah, yeah. That's so it has 3 backup cameras, 1 forward-looking camera, and then it has lane keeping, that's different from what I have because it just holds you in the lane. It won't let you out of it unless you can if you pull the steering wheel hard, it will. Or you put your turn signal on. But yeah, that was interesting to watch the guy drive down these twisty roads. He totally took his hands off the wheel, and it was like, it was just driving along. And of course, it starts beeping at him. Put your hands on the wheel, or it will stop. It will pull over and stop if you keep your hands off.
Drink some coffee. Do you need assistance?
Yes, the police have been notified.
Yeah, I want RoboCop to like be the announcer for the car. Do you need assistance? A rape counselor has been notified.
Well, and then in one of these trucks, and I forget which one it was. I don't know if it was the hybrid or just the King Ranch, but it had different modes you put it in. And if you put it in sport mode, like all the graphics and your gauges change. It alerts you're going into sport mode, and then like the suspension kind of sucks down a little bit, a little closer to the road, and then it's and then you have like econo mode, and then your gauges all change. But there's actually a graphic of the truck, and a high quality graphic that appears on your dashboard saying what mode you're in. It has if your truck is brown, the graphic that appears is a brown truck. It looks just like your truck, and it does all that crazy shit. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. But then, you hear what it costs, and it's like, okay. But if you're on a work site, and I don't know, no one will publish data on what the mileage of that hybrid truck is, but everyone says, unless you got your foot in it, like mid-20s, which is astounding for a vehicle that weighs that much. And that's 4-wheel drive also. That's, you got to add in that whole extra weight. But they say, yeah, it's like that, and that's just nuts. So they've really come a long way with that stuff. But then like the Ranger, which is probably, once my lease is over on this thing, is what I'm going to get. That's more like the workman's truck. It doesn't have any of those features. I mean, you can get 4-wheel drive, you can get crew cab, but it doesn't do all the whiz bang, and and the pay point on those is a lot lower too. And you get a truck bed. Because a lot of people don't know the Ranger they make now is the same size as the F-150 was in the 90s. Like that's, it's not like the Ranger like from the 80s where it was really small. This thing, it's got some good size to it. So if you need a truck,
Ford's got you covered.
Yeah.
If you need a truck and want to go broke, get the F-150. It's no joke.
Well, like I said, if I owned a
Well,
construction,
you'll kind of go broke buying any truck.
No, I don't.
they're all expensive.
Purpose built.
But everything's expensive.
Yeah.
You can option out an Escape up to almost $45,000. I don't know why you do it, but you can.
I mean, you can only use a car to really kind of go around and get some shit. You use a truck for shit.
Yeah.
So.
No, you do, but at the
If you
same
use
time,
your truck correctly, you're making your money back.
Yeah.
how do I know I'm not using it correctly, Conlon?
When you help your friends move for free.
Damn it.
Yeah. See, I want a Ranger because as I acquire more tools and want to build stuff, it's like, I want to be able to bring lumber home from the store, stuff like that. But I don't want to spend $70,000 for the privilege. There's cheaper options. But, yep. So anyway, we got some stuff to clear off the list here. Stuff we went into it earnestly to talk about and just never did.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch half this stuff because I just don't have time, or now I don't have access to. I got to get HBO. I'm gonna have to gift myself HBO Max for Christmas or something. 'Cause, I don't have any premium TV channels and very few streaming services. So anyway, we'll start with Bill and Ted Face the Music. Is that where we want to start?
Yeah, we'll just start at the top.
All right, here we go.
It's the latest Bill and Ted movie, and it's really good. It's fun. It's a fun movie. I don't think it's necessarily like a great movie, but like I really enjoyed it for what it was. It's just a happy time. I like the part where like they meet their kids in hell. And they're like, "How you doing?" It's like, "Well, we're dead and we're in hell." It's like, "Yeah, but how you doing?" It's like, "Okay."
Not bad considering, huh? I didn't watch it.
And probably like it was just like I hear like it did well for them. It's probably made more money than it would if it got released in theaters. So,
Yeah.
I bought it new. Andrew, you're more recent on it, so so you probably have better things or remember more of it. So
I was kind of I guess I don't remember the first two movies enough to like know how much they focused on the time traveling aspect of it. Like I felt like that was kind of glossed over a little bit. Like they spent time on it, but not near as much as you think they would.
I mean, it's a central part of the first movie. It's almost non-existent in the second movie.
Oh, okay, because I know that one deals with more of them dying and coming back from the hell.
Yeah.
And shit, but in the because they even have references in the second movie in there where it's like the characters they're referencing weren't in it. It was like, oh yeah, that guy, and it's like, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, they keep mentioning Station, and then of course you have Death there. So
yeah,
William Sadler back to play Death.
Yeah, which was good because he's a good. Yeah, I really liked him in that character in the original movie, so it's nice to see him return to that role.
And I like their daughters. I thought they were fun. Like, I almost just want to see a movie with them, even though like they're just doing they're just Beavis and Butthead, but like women.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that. So
no, they came across as more learned and better than their counterparts.
Oh, that's it for that.
No more talk about that.
The next one was Jojo Rabbit.
Okay.
Yes, can't.
Which is a movie I intended to see, but just never did.
I really,
People love it. People talk to me about it. Like, have you seen this? Like, not yet.
Well, it's one of those movies like the premise is so ridiculous. It's like you're just like, well, I gotta see this. Like a kid with his imaginary friend is Hitler. It's like that sounds awful. But it's how do you say his name? Taika Waititi.
Something like that.
Taika Waititi. Yeah.
Taika Waititi. Okay. Yeah, he's just really good. He's really good with humor. He's really good at directing kids because like one of his first movies was like a movie about a kid traveling.
Hunt for the Willow People.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a kid who's like in the Nazi youth, and he's just like all he wants to do is be a good Nazi.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like a good Nazi, but like wants to be a Nazi who is respected by other people. And then, of course, like over the course of the film, he learns that that's all bullshit, and that reflects in his imagination of Hitler too, where Hitler becomes combative with him, as he helps a Jewish girl like try to survive. And then you have the stuff towards the end of the movie where like the Russians and the Americans are invading, and like you have kids with like rocket launchers and stuff, and it's just like complete. It's farcical nonsense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend you watch it, even though everyone's recommended it to you. Just get around to it at some point. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's streaming anywhere right now. So I just bought it. So
Yeah.
Well, Disney owns the rights to it, so it'll be on Disney Plus sometime.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have Disney Plus right now. So.
I do have that. Yeah, because the Mandalorian's on, so I've got Disney Plus. So anyway, Jojo Rabbit. Check it out. And then the next thing we got on the list is something called Jexy. I know nothing about this.
Yeah, it's a really horrible movie. It's based on basically like what if an AI fell in love with a human being?
Yeah, it's kind of like Her, but a comedy, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you remember Her, Nathan?
Yeah, oh yeah, I watched that movie.
Okay. Did you
Again-
see Her? Andrew, did you see Her?
Yeah, I did. I hated
Oh,
that movie.
okay. Oh, really? Okay. I like that.
I have no stomach for that movie, and I hated this movie too. So, and this is more just how poor the movie was between humor and writing. Her was just like, I'm bored to shit, and I hate this movie. So, I get that it's a groundbreaking movie and all, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't care. It's like if I want to jerk off to my AI, I'll jerk off to my AI. That's as good as it gets.
Well, there's another AI love story movie coming out with Melissa McCarthy that looks awful, so you can look forward to that.
She has like a new Cinemax show that looks stupid too, so she's really batting 1,000 right now.
Yeah, she kind of does a lot of stuff, and it's not very good. But
Yeah,
she has some good hits in there, so whatever.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yep. Anyways, Jexy.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Don't check it out.
Was it got the guy from Workaholics in there?
Yeah, and that's the reason I watched it, because it's like, oh, he's pretty funny, and it's like, I wonder if he's gonna do it.
Is he at least funny in the movie, and the movie just sucks?
Kind of. He
Okay.
doesn't. He only has a few good lines. That it's like, oh, that's funny, and it's like, oh, did he?
But he doesn't save the movie.
No, he does not save the movie.
Okay.
The movie's own flaws down the movie more than anybody else. So, yeah.
Who voices Jexy? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Don't look it up. We'll move on.
So, Dr. Sleep. I watched this.
This is the one I've been meaning to watch, and I just haven't. This is my.
Oh,
one.
really?
I bought it, and I have it, and it's even streaming free places, and I just still haven't watched it. But I hear a lot of good things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the shit out of that movie. There's only one sequence that doesn't really fit, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah, overall they did a good job because you got to remember you're taking on The Shining as a movie, even though this is a book and that Shining.
How does this compare to 2010 as a follow up to a Kubrick movie?
Well, they did their own thing, which I like.
Okay.
They did. The only thing they really borrowed was, of course, they went back to the Overlook and they had a more modern version of that kind of the tone from the first Shining, that dun dun dun. They did that, but basically it was like, we're never going to top Kubrick. We're going to tell our own story, and they did a good job. The actors were all good. The main guy, Ewan McGregor, was great. The evil people were truly evil. Defeated a little easily, I think, compared to the book, because I've also read the book.
Yeah, how is it as an adaptation? Because I hear you raved about the book too. So
it's pretty good. It's what they could do.
Okay.
Because the movie can be pretty vile. The book was even worse. You really wanted these things to die in the book. And in the movie you did too, because they did show him torturing and murdering a kid. But yeah, that was and the actress who played what was her name? Maggie the Hat, or what was her name?
I don't remember her character's exact name, but yeah, pretty much like the Mad Hatter for the most part.
Yeah, she did a great job. The end was good. It was kind of depressing, but it was also about a really lost guy. Danny from the original movie is the Ewan McGregor character, and he just grew up with these powers that will actually eat your mind out if you really had those powers. So you kind of understand it. But anyway, Great book, great movie. You're not going to miss anything by watching it. So for the next one, we had Andrew Guns Akimbo.
Okay, this is a good independent movie. I don't know what it's necessarily based on. I think it's a comic book.
Oh, it is. Okay.
But Daniel Radcliffe does an awesome job with this movie. But also, remember the guy who plays? Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I saw like the first 10 minutes of this movie, and they don't really make Daniel Radcliffe an endearing person. But I guess that's just more interesting to actual character growth. I guess I don't know, but I haven't seen the whole movie yet. So.
No, I mean it does kind of fall down on itself a little bit in the last act, but it actually ends pretty well. I like the ending. It's like it doesn't do the stereotypical like good guy saves the day and everybody loves him type of shit, which is refreshing because it pays attention to that in itself. The action's pretty decent in it, and like the humor is really good. Because it's homeless. Oh, sorry,
Nathan. Do you know what this movie is?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Oh, explain the premise, Andrew.
Okay, so this guy is an internet troll, and he wakes up because now these like this basically death games like Running Man type shit they put on for ratings, but the cops are stopping because it's illegal. And so he trolls this guy, and then he wakes up after they beat the shit out of him. He has guns bolted to his hands, and so he can't do anything because the guns are bolted to his hands, and everybody is looking for him, and wants to kill him because he's the new opponent against the evil woman that basically kills everybody. And so it's him teaming up with her to save his ex-girlfriend, but also just like kind of get the guns off his hand and resume his normal life because he just wants to go back to being normal, and just like everything kind of goes to shit around him. And it's a good independent movie.
So if you saw a weird picture of Daniel Radcliffe holding guns, standing in a robe with like bare feet, that's what that's from.
Okay, well, I might have to check this out then. I think I put it on Netflix.
Yeah, I think Prime is streaming it for free.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check this one out. This sounds like kind of like a dark version of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
A Running Man, but that's already a dark version. Although it's probably less silly than Running Man.
All right. So for the next one, we have Crawl, which I actually watched. I know it's not listed that I watched. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, you put it in there.
Okay, I did. Anyway, Crawl, Florida Gator story.
The football team.
Yeah, starring Barry Pepper, who's like a contractor, and then his daughter. I don't remember her name, but she's like an athlete, like a college athlete of some kind. And then there's a hurricane coming in. And this guy's not. Is he trying to get out of his house, or does he want to like stay at his house and preserve it? I forget.
He wants to. He's trying to sell, but he's just trying to make sure it works so he can sell it because he's trying to get out of the house.
Okay.
Because he's divorced and shit.
Yeah. As I know, there's a divorce and kind of a weird relationship with his wife or his daughter. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I mean, the main thing in the movie is there's these giant alligator that. Well, there's a couple of them. It starts out with a couple of them. They're fleeing or blown in from the hurricane, and it's basically her and Barry Pepper fighting their way through the house to try to survive these alligators. And it's some pretty effective camera work in this.
Yeah,
as I remember, and it's like a monster movie, but in a very small space. But it makes it it's kind of scary and weird. It's something you don't think about because this is one of those things like, could this really happen? Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think it works well for what it is. I mean, it has good CGI, so it's not like really distracting with that. Like it has a good premise that doesn't really drag down, and like there's no lulls to it.
I think Sam Raimi produced this. Do you feel like a touch of Sam Raimi in this?
Oh yeah, there's tons of gore and like weird parts in this movie.
Yeah. Like I said, it seemed fairly effective. I didn't mind watching it. It didn't bore me. Some of these horror movies can just be boring, but this one was really good. It conveyed claustrophobic horror in this weird situation because you got the alligators going to kill you, you got the flood and the hurricane that's going to kill you. Everything. Well, anyway, This next movie was the Sam Mendes classic 1917.
This is another one of my shame. I bought the thing, still haven't watched it.
Oh, you should probably watch this one. It's a good movie if you're willing to be patient with it.
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like now was anybody like not spoiled by this? Did everybody know going in that it was all one take?
I didn't know anything about. I knew it was about World War One. That's about what I knew.
Okay.
But it's a very good fucking one take. Like, I mean, I kind of spoiled it before the beginning because I heard that it was before I watched it.
Well, I was wondering if any of you had the experience where like you just didn't realize that, or if knowing it beforehand kind of ruined it because all you're doing is looking for like where they made a transition, even though they're hiding it. It's like I know they hadn't hit it somewhere. They didn't do this all in one take. It just looks like one take.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that one take thing works in the beginning for the claustrophobia of the trench warfare and the fear. But these guys are constantly afraid, and with reason. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's got great action sequences. But because it is like a running movie, there's not a lot of character development. But you do care about it's like, oh, I hope these guys don't die. They seem like young men. There's great spectacles of war scenes. And when you see something like trench warfare, like being fought like this, it seems like a real anachronism. It's like, yeah, no wonder so many people died. And then, there's the city at the end that managed to be exciting. And then, you had the plane crash in the middle, which that's, poignant and sad and exciting all at the same time. So it's not quite the gut punch of Saving Private Ryan, but it is a movie where things happen, and you're like, whoa, okay. Altogether, I enjoyed it. Probably.
Yeah, it was a really good movie.
All right. So then, hold on. There we go. For our next movie, we have The Assignment. And I almost see.
Yeah.
I didn't watch this one.
Yeah, this is a Walter Hill movie of the Warriors fame, writer of Alien, and I like his movies, and like this one has a great premise where it's about an assassin who he pissed off a surgeon, and then Sigourney Weaver gave him gender reassignment surgery, and so then he is then played by Michelle Rodriguez for the rest of the movie.
Unwittingly?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah. Which is like, oh, holy shit. Like, that's... Okay, I want to see that. Unfortunately, it's not very good. It's kind of all over the place, but it was shot for a low budget. Michelle... I don't know. Michelle Rodriguez is just kind of like all over the place in the movie, so she doesn't really work. But Sigourney Weaver is fucking fantastic in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and she's only in it for a little bit, but she's really great, and she's very menacing. She like gives like almost a Hannibal Lecter kind of performance in this movie.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't like. I can't say it's a good movie, but I didn't hate watching it. So I kind of scrub watch it. So like, I almost suggest that like scrub watch the movie, like turn an hour and a half movie into to 30 minutes, and like you get the ideas.
I like this movie for just the premise of it. Yes, it's not executed very well, and my wife hated this fucking movie. She thought it was the worst fucking thing she's ever seen, and I can't say that's not a good argument for that, but at the same time, it is really low budget. It has good actors in it.
Like I almost thought like oh, this had to be like a modern thing. Like this is Walter Hill trying to like endear himself to a modern generation, but no. Apparently, this script was written in the 70s.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, check it out if you're wanting something different.
And I believe it's streaming on Netflix. So.
Okay.
So for the next one, we have Becky.
Yes, this is a really good movie with Kevin James in a villain role.
Okay.
Which
he's like a neo-Nazi, right?
Yeah, he's a neo-Nazi that got out of jail, and there's this treasure supposedly beneath this cabin these people are staying in. Joel McHale is the father. And then I don't think the girl has been in anything before, but she's really good at it. Like, it wasn't as gory. I mean, it was gory, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be that way, because The trailer made it seem more like it was like Kid John Wick type shit.
Yeah.
But it was still really good. It was really well acted.
Die Hard in the woods with a girl.
Yeah, basically, and it kind of was, and it filled a lot of that, but it wasn't exactly that. But I think it was fine that way because it was more realistic and it made more sense. Because I mean, Kevin James is really a good standout part of that movie, even though I'm sure nobody's really going to say that was the reason they watched it. But yeah, I have no problem with that movie.
Well, in the trailer, he started really chewing the scenery. He's like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if I buy Kevin James as a neo-Nazi, but
yeah, it's something new for him, something to make him have a better acting portfolio. Because you only see him in slapstick bullshit comedies anymore. So I mean, it's like you don't take him seriously, but I think that helps it because it's like you're not expecting anything from him, so you're pleasantly surprised when he's like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good."
There's a funny picture. Like, do you guys know who Mick Foley is?
The wrestler?
Yes.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Him and Kevin James went to the same high school, or like in the same wrestling, like they were in the wrestling together, like amateur wrestling. And you see a photo of them, and they're both like svelte and like tall and like muscly when they're in high school, and they both kind of. Actually, Kevin James is like kind of worked out recently, but Mick Foley's still kind of he got old, has lots of brain damage. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So anyway, back.
Yeah, highly recommended.
Let's see. For the next movie, we got Invisible Man.
Yeah, did anybody else watch this, or is it just me?
No, I know. I heard good things about it. This is one of those. This is one of those Blumhouse movies. Nathan, you know what Blumhouse is?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's this interesting premise that it has good execution on something, but it still suffers from would people really believe that bullshit? Sometimes, like, it does fall down on its face with that. Like, I found myself questioning a few times. It's like, yeah, this guy's either really trusting or really stupid, and there's just like all this other, like it is really good. Like, hey, this is really what a real abusive relationship looks like if you had high tech invisibility suits. But at the same time, it's a way to really pull off a movie without really spending a lot on special effects for the most part. You're just like, oh, look at that corner of the room. There's something there. It's menacing. Play the music. And there is the psych ward fucking fight scene is fucking amazing. Because it's like the security guards keep coming with like in waves with like guns and shit, and like it's like get back in your room. It's like, and then like there's people with like gun shots through their heads and like their necks snapped and like twisted in a pretzel. And they're like, get back, put your weapon down. She's like just in a gown with nothing. And she's like, I don't have anything. And then just like an invisible man like pulls the gun away from him and shoots himself in the head and shit. And the one guy is just like, what the fuck? And then just doesn't do anything besides die. It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, how would that go? How would that work? But like, that's probably the standout scene in that for me is like how that actually works. But at the same time, it's like it's not bad. It's just not what I thought it would be.
Yeah, my wife liked it a lot. She told me about it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, it was probably like one of the last movies that were released in theaters.
Yeah, as I remember that. Yeah, that came out later.
So. Because I remember people are like, well, if nothing else gets released this year, they're like, Invisible Man might be Oscar worthy. Well, I heard it's a good performance by, I can't remember her name.
Yeah. All right, Invisible Man. Check it out. For the last movie, we got Irresistible.
Oh, crap. That's me. That's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, shit. Sorry, I was trying to think of the goddamn... damn it. Fuck. I put it on there. What the fuck is it now? I'm doing a really good job right now.
You can go to Internet Movie Database. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I was just like, what the fuck? Well, by the time I get to it, since my internet's fucking slow.
It's new, right?
Yeah, it's new.
Okay.
You might just skip to the next one and I'll come back to it when I refresh myself what the fuck this movie is.
All right.
Okay, yes, it's a political theory movie written by, God damn it, the guy who used to do The Daily Show, Jon Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Because it used to be called Swing State. That's why I was like, Irresistible. Like, what the... I was like, oh, yeah, they changed it to Irresistible in the last fucking week before they put it out. And it's confused the shit out of me. Anyway, yeah, it's a really good insight as far as, like, a fucking political comedy and how super PACs work and how fucking people are just wasting money on politics and everybody's such a low piece of shit. Because nobody's a good person in this movie. Everybody's a fucking piece of shit. whether it be the town stealing all the money from the Republican and Democratic Party, or the Republican and Democratic Party ruining people's lives to win a mayoral race in a small town for no reason. It's like they're using all these like, oh yeah, we got these graphs on what these nuns buy on Amazon or whatever. We're gonna fucking send these flyers to these nuns, and then they fuck up, and then like, oh, you're fired now. You offended those nuns. That's 20 votes. That's not gonna go our way. And so it just kind of, it was an interesting movie. It wasn't anything I'm gonna watch again, but it was an interesting movie.
All right.
Sorry.
Listable. Check it out. Okay, so now we're moving into the TV category. And we have Auntie Donna.
Auntie Donna.
All right.
Which is it's an Australian sketch comedy group. And they're like every sketch comedy group all rolled into one. They're a little bit Monty Python, they're a little bit Upstart Citizens Brigade, they're a little bit The Lonely Island. They're kind of everything. They do a lot of musical stuff and just absurd sketch comedy. They have a new show on Netflix. And it's called Auntie Donna's Big House of Fun. Because a lot of they do like YouTube series, and it always has a theme to it. So they kind of do anthology comedy sketch seasons.
Okay.
So they have one on YouTube. It's called 1999, Auntie Donna 1999. It's just like an office comedy in 1999, but like their absurdist thing about it. Like there's one I put in the notes called Bigoted Bill, which is a really fun video.
I watched that. That was kind of funny.
The Netflix show is pretty funny. It's really absurdist. They borrow a lot of stuff from their like stage show, but like they kind of do a little new stuff to it with it. It's very ridiculous. I think the opening joke is like they do a song called like Everything's a Drum, Everything's a Drum, and there's a part where a guy's like banging like a spatula on a pan, but there's no sound coming out, and he's like, Broden, you told me 6 years ago that everything's a drum, and he kind of turns and like is like, no, everything's a drum. And like it comes like this weird conspiracy theory, and then he hits it again. It's like, oh, it's a drum. And then everything goes back to normal. Like, I let you drum on my penis. I left my wife. Or the one that I like is what there's an episode where they're going to the Olympics, but they just call it the Olympics. And this guy comes to test their piss. I'll finish the joke. He tests their piss. And like he goes up to test their piss, and like they hand him is like, hey, yeah, it's like, hey, you're not gonna drink the piss, are you? And like, and then like there's kind of this weird awkward pause. He's like, he's gonna drink our piss. And he's like, no, I'm not. He's like, and he pulls out like a little like tiki cup, and he like pours the piss in, and like puts like a little like umbrella in it with a silly straw. It's like, no, dude, don't drink the piss. It's like, I am accredited with the ADA. Like, there's been too much cheating in the Olympics, and like, like giving himself like the authority, and then just drinks the piss.
God.
Yeah, there's only 6 episodes, but and some of them aren't even like, some of the episodes are like 12 minutes long. So yeah, it's worth going through.
All right. Next, we got Star Trek Discovery Season 3.
I have seen, I believe, 2 episodes. Nathan, have you even bothered to watch this?
No, I haven't bothered.
Don't
like it.
I'd never bothered to finish season 2 because Nathan highly, what's the opposite? Not recommended it. So at the end of it, like they go to the future, and so this is where it picks up. So they're in the future, and it's interesting for Discovery because Discovery is very dark and brutal. It's very weird for Star Trek and doesn't make any sense. So here he put them in the future, and so it's like the plucky Star Trek stuff kind of like makes sense now. It's like they're trying to like rebuild a broken future where all the dilithium crystals exploded for some reason. So it's hard to get around in space. So like space travel is very difficult. It's not like it is in the past. And so they kind of like, bring the pluckiness of Starfleet and like try to win people over with that. And so that's what I like about this season. But there's still like a lot of bad acting and poor writing. It's the A+ production, but kind of C- D everything else.
All right. So Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Go ahead if you want to. Let's see. Star Trek Lower Decks.
Star Trek. This is the animated comedy Star Trek show that they came out with on CBS All Access. The trailer looks fucking terrible, and it's a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. For some reason, now it's just a show I put on when I fall asleep, and I don't know. I just enjoy it. I don't know. It's probably the best of the recent Star Trek stuff. So, I mean, it is just wacky comedy, but like it has a more endearing spirit to it. I think the first like few episodes are a little rough. They're like not that funny, and they're just kind of weird. But there's some later ones. Apparently one of the Action Boys guys is a writer on the show, and he wrote my favorite episode, where they like the. So it's Jack Quaid, who was Dennis Quaid's son. I think it's Jack Quaid, right? The guy on The Boys.
The Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like kind of a kiss. He's kind of a kiss ass, and so he like remakes everybody in the holodeck just so he can try to gain favor with the captain, so he can practice. And then like the plucky, like irresponsible lady, like she like reprograms it and turns it into a big movie. And she's like trying to kill her mom, like she plays the villain within like this like mini episode within the holodeck of the show, and it's like really it's wacky, it's fun, it's like weirdly poignant. So that was my favorite episode of the season. So I recommend it. So
All right. Well, let's see. Doom Patrol Season 2.
oh man,
Yeah.
I didn't finish this. That's
I
my
didn't finish
bad.
it either. I only got halfway through because then the DC thing stopped, so I couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah, DC Universe like basically imploded, but like it switched over to HBO Max, so you can watch it on HBO Max now.
Oh. Because I was looking for a Doom Patrol Season 2 to come out on DVD like Season 1 did, where I discovered it, and then I was like, oh, it's not coming out yet. So
I enjoyed the season. The season's kind of like weirdly darker for some reason. Maybe because Timothy Dalton is in it throughout the entire season rather than kind of like guesting on a few episodes.
yeah.
So I think he just kind of brings a darkness to it, but also he's like kind of like sad and vulnerable. So like yeah, Timothy Dalton's kind of like does a lot for this season, but also it's kind of it's kind of weird. I mean, it's wacky. That's what the show does, is be weird and wacky. So
Yeah.
and it combines like, oh, that's hilarious, and like, oh, this is super sad. So like that's what the show is. So
No, and I think it's also darker just because the way Season 1 ended, where it's like, oh, all you guys were just an experiment to, see who could live longer or whatever. So I ruined all your lives for my own personal gain. And so now the team has to live with that. Instead of him being their mentor and their leader that everybody can rally around, it's like, oh, that's basically the reason that everybody's fucked up and piece of shit.
yeah,
So everybody's divided and trying to get back together. So it's just definitely a darker
I
season.
think that's why the season's kind of a bit disjointed, because like when you watch the first episode, you're gonna feel like you've missed something, and they just kind of like they kind of explain it as they go, because there's this kid named Dorothy, and then she can basically imagine the end of the universe, so you have to keep her happy, and they don't tell you this in the first episode. You just figure it out as you go. Now, if you watch the trailer, you'll understand it, so that helps.
Doom Patrol Season 2. All right. And the next one we have is Stargirl.
So this is another. This was on the DC Universe app, which now will be on HBO Max. It's like a side, like the CW like DC shows. It's basically that. This one's like way more optimistic. It's about a. It starts out with like Joel McHale's kind of like a superhero, and he just immediately gets killed. And then you have what's the other Owen? The other Luke Wilson. He plays like a car mechanic who like built the guy's car. He's like Captain Patriot or something like that. And then he marries this lady and then he has a stepdaughter who then ends up inheriting the power of like the Captain Patriot guy, and it's a very optimistic show, and I wouldn't say it's good, but I enjoyed its optimism. Apparently, the character, so the guy who like runs DC, apparently the character is based on his sister who died in a plane crash.
Okay.
And so I think she was like 12, and so he just imagined her as a superhero to kind of like have her like live on in the comic books.
Hmm.
So
All right. Stargirl, check it out. Let's see. Next movie we got, our TV show, is Crybaby Devilman.
oh, this will be short. The show is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's just an acid trip. A guy turns into a devil, and then people are dying constantly. It's an anime. That's all I can remember about it. It's fucking crazy. If you're looking for an acid trip show, Crybaby Devilman.
What's this on?
Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Next we have BoJack Horseman, which I've seen like 4 seasons or 3 seasons of that.
This is about the final season. It was split into 2, which I never really liked that. When you split the last season to 2, because I remember when they did that. I first remember them doing that with Sopranos, and I don't think it really worked well there.
Yeah.
The only time it worked well is like it was for Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Like that was probably the best like last season split into 2 that I can remember. But yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, it's like this season. It's like the second half, kind of like makes everything super sad, which that's what BoJack Horseman does. Is like here's the wacky stuff, and then like here's the sadness, and so like it really gets into the end. But it's kind of weird because I don't know. It's like there's no resolution, but I think that's like better for the show. Where it's like, because the whole idea of the show is like this guy played essentially Full House in the 90s, and then the whole show is about like how real life isn't a TV show. So the fact that the show kind of reflects itself, and that it doesn't end like a TV show, it ends like real life where things aren't like wrapped up nicely. It's like things are ambiguous, but because it ends with like BoJack talking to Diane on a rooftop, and like I think like the whole like last season BoJack doesn't talk to Todd at all. Like they never interact at all, and that just like comes off as really sad to me because they used to be, kind of friends, but like they used to like be supportive of each other, and it was just like they don't even talk to each other at the end of the last season. It just kind of seemed weird to me, but yeah, I just got Diane gets fat because she finally gets on pain or depression medication, and like. They don't really bring it up. It's just she's just like, oh, she's bigger now. So. And it's not a problem. It's just that happens.
All right, and then we had the Silicon Valley, the last season.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which I meant to watch, but then didn't have HBO anymore.
I probably forgot everything. I remember the. Oh fuck, what was it like? There's only like one bit of that last season I thought was like super funny. Someone like they have a Tesla and they're pulling up to a guy and there's like they're asking some guy where somebody is and it's like, oh, he's over there, and like that Jared guy is like, I'll fucking kill you for some reason. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it's a very weird season. They kind of like jump to the future to show what happens, and like I don't know, it's like super weird because it's just kind of a downer because like it's like these guys are on the cusp of like changing the world, and then like the whole idea of like to create another season is that they just never get there. Like they can never be successful. It's almost like the point of the show. It's like the show ends if they're successful. And so the show ends and they're still not successful.
Yeah, I remember this was a show like packed with. It was a lot of good writing in this show and good moments.
Well, I think the last season was probably the poorest season though. So
yeah,
unfortunately, but they did a lot more. Did a lot more narrative. Like there's still like a lot of stuff they're bringing up. They seem like, oh, they're on the ball with some shit because like they had to write that in advance, and it's like the shit happening in the show was like happening in real life. It's like, oh, they know their shit. So
Yeah.
Like that's what I was more impressed with the last season, less so than the actual like comedy of it. It was just like, oh, this is a well structured show and kind of like foreseeing the future.
All right. Next we have Swamp Thing.
Yes, another DC show, but it was pretty much canceled right out of the gate. I think it only got like one episode out or 2 episodes out before it was canceled. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't
they
know.
produced the whole first season, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's only like 10 episodes. That's not a lot, but it is promising. It's a lot darker than it than I thought it would be, to be honest. Because not that A&D think DC has to be light, but it definitely usually tends to be. But I mean, probably the only thing I hated about it so far was just basically that so there's like this weird, mysterious illness out of this swamp-related town. You know, they're trying to figure out what it is. So all these kids are getting sick, and like there's all these kids in ICU, but these kids keep escaping in the middle of the night from the ICU, and they always have to like find them in the middle of the swamp or some shit. And that's like almost the first 2 episodes. Like it happens all the time. And I was like, who the fuck's securing this ICU? There's all these like tents, like don't go in there. It's highly infectious. There's all these people in hazmat suits and checkpoints, and it's like, how the fuck did these kids get out of the goddamn place all the time? But it's very dark. It's slightly gory, and it has a lot of, at least in the first couple episodes, has a lot of fighting and mutilation in it. As far as like Swamp Thing, like you can't be here, and just fucking killing somebody. So it's a good show so far. I've only gotten 4 episodes in because I keep forgetting to get further into it. But so far, I like what I see, and kind of hope that maybe since.
Don't you have like a DVD set or something?
Yeah, I bought the DVD set of it. Because, I mean, it's always like $20 for the DVD for like Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. So I was like, I got $20.
All
Pretty
right.
easy to come up with.
Swamp Thing. Get it on disc.
Or nowhere.
It's on HBO Max. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that transition too is it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. They just the whole DC library transferred over to HBO Max. So.
Oh, okay.
Next we have What We Do in the Shadows, Season 2.
Oh, that's really, really fucking good season.
I've heard good things, but I'm still like waiting to finish season 1, and I just didn't bother to do the homework yet, so I'm like holding off on season 2. But I hear good things. I hear incidental things on like every podcast. It's like, you should really watch season 2, and I just never do.
No, because I mean, season 1 was really good. It's probably one of the best. I mean, it's for seeing the movie, and hopefully there'll be a follow up to that one too. But at the same time, like it's really standing on its own and being a good fucking comedy source, and probably one of the best shows on television right now, as far as just like the writing and like how they're doing it. Because it's like Guillermo being Van Helsing's descendant, and so it's like now he's just like in the second season, like he just keeps being more like just killing vampires all the time and trying not to let everybody know that he's killing vampires. Like they'll hate it. They'll look down by the season finale where it's like they quarter the 3 for like, oh, we're gonna execute you because you've been killing vampires. Like, what are you talking about? Like we didn't do any of that. And it's like, oh, you know, you're a familiar did it, and we're gonna hold you accountable. And they're just all laughing their ass off, like Guillermo killed something. And it's just like it's just fucking great. Like there's an actual troll in the second season, and it's just fucking it's amazing. I won't try and ruin anything else for you here, but at the same time, it's a lot deeper than the first season. So it's good. You should watch it.
All right. And next we have Dave.
Another good show from FX. Does anybody else watch any of this show?
No, I don't even know what it is.
Okay, so you know the rapper Dave, big Afro white guy. He had like the music videos, like White Crime and fucking oh goddamn it, basically just like begging for a blowjob video or whatever. So he used his bar mitzvah money to like become a rapper, and so this is kind of just his kind of like a self biography of how he made it into the rap world.
Is this live action?
Yeah, it's live action.
Okay.
So yeah, like the first episode is him and Macklemore being in the same episode because like this kid is dying at elementary school and like he's his favorite rapper. And so he's like, oh, really? Like I just have YouTube videos and stuff. And the parents beg him. It's like, oh, please, come on. It's his last wish that you come and perform. And so he's like building himself up about it. And he's like, oh, God, I want to disappoint these kids. This is like 10-year-olds. Like, who gives a shit? Because he just raps about dicks and pussy and shit. So he's just like, why the hell am I going to come to this kid's party? and he's ready to go up, and he finally talks himself into like starting his career and being a big rapper or whatever. And then Macklemore just jumps on stage and starts singing, and then he's like, "Well, fuck it, I guess I'm not gonna go on stage." But it's really fucking good. Like the last episode of that fucking show for the first season, like after he breaks up with his girlfriend and shit, and like fucking goes through all this growth, knowing that he wants to be a big rapper and chooses his career over his personal life and stuff. It's like it's really deep, like emotional stuff, and it's not just comedy. And like the rest of the show is comedy because it's just like him being a fucking white Jewish guy about like everything in the rap world for the most part, and then like making fun of himself. It's like, yeah, I have black friends, so maybe I'm race appropriating, but at the same time, it's like I'm not though, because you know I'm cool. I rap well, and so it's just it's a really good show. You should watch it.
All right. And then we have now this Utopia. Is this the Amazon show?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I've seen this too.
yeah. I only have 2 episodes left in it. It's been really good so far, as just not going with my expectations.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking forward to the last 2 episodes. I kind of want to see like if they finally figure out who Mr. Rabbit is, or if they finally like Rainn Wilson finally like goes off the edge, because so far he's been entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
But I was really disappointed in his character, like the 4th or 5th episode, when he totally buys into everything after he's like stringently like, oh, we need to do testing and we need to do this and all this other jazz. And it's like, yeah, you're just, and then all of a sudden, like he tests one person one time and it's like, oh, we got a cure, release the cure. And it's very Trumpism at its core with the rest of that shit. And it was just kind of, when was this show made? Because I feel like it was obviously made before the pandemic.
Let's see. Well, it's based. The British TV show was made in 2013. This was released in September this year. Let's see, film. Because I know they had to have that disclaimer at the beginning of this about, hey, this isn't based on anything going on right now. They finished it up in October of 2019.
Oh, okay.
And they were still working on the soundtrack and stuff in August. So, yeah, it manages to be entertaining but grim at the same time and horrifying. I think I talked about this before on the podcast. It's kind of, it's almost like The Boys in a way, but without the humor. It's a little mean, but it's in the end, it does sort of pay off. Because it pulls you in 2 directions. It's like, oh, yeah, these people are fucking evil, but, this is why they're doing this. And it's like, well, yeah, their motives make sense. Their methods are awful. Anyway, that's Utopia, and that's the last one we'll get. Because I think Amazon,
we'll cover the others. Huh?
No, Amazon pulled the plug on any more.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't make it. Got bad credit. It got bad reviews. And it was a lot of emotionally based reviews. I don't think it was based on the performances. It was like, well, everything going on right now, how could they make a show about diseases? It's like, well, they made it years ago. So,
it's based off another show from years ago. So.
Yeah. So, yeah.
God damn it. Because I was looking forward to seeing John Cusack and Rainn Wilson another season, as well as the rest of the cast, whoever's left surviving at the end of the first season. So it's kind of disappointing to see that, like, oh yeah, all that just means nothing.
No.
I think we'll end the 2-minute warning for this podcast so we can talk about Platoon, but we'll pick up the other stuff later.
Okay.
All right. So we watched a movie this week, Oliver Stone's Platoon. No, I'm just kidding.
Which came out the same year as Salvador.
Yes, weirdly enough, came out the same year as
I'm not sure I'm not sure what the production difference were, but it came out the same year.
Well, this was a movie, like he said in the book, he was trying to make since the 70s.
Yeah.
And they went and actually scouted places in the Philippines like 4 years before it got made, because they kept having to move back and forth.
And like Dino De Laurentiis was going to produce this at some point.
Yeah, it's like weird.
Yeah, there was like weird dinners with Dino De Laurentiis where they're like in Italy, or no, I think it was France, and like they just had like this smorgasbord of food, and like whenever they finished the plate, they just throw the plate on the ground.
Yeah, just smash the plate. It's called that's called like a Greek tradition or something. It's just like the ultimate excess. It's like, I'm going to eat this food and then shatter the crockery. But that's, you're roaring drunk and on cocaine too. It didn't make sense then, I guess.
But yeah, of course, this is a fictionalized version, or like a a more dramatic version of his time in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's like a compelling story written around. The way I describe it is, especially after hearing the book, it's a compelling story written around his impressions of Vietnam.
Yeah.
Even the stuff that actually happened to him, while some things were like action worthy, it wasn't this story, but it was this was the emotions he felt wrapped into a story that people would watch. Is what I got out of this.
Well, it's like I'm gonna take my time in Vietnam, kind of like take portions of it, and then I'm gonna have this whole like story about basically like which father am I going to believe in? That's kind of like the crux of the story.
It's more of a philosophical story than a like a war chronicle.
Yeah. Interesting thing. There was two interesting things like this time. Like this is probably the first time I've watched this movie since I was in the military. So I have like kind of a slightly different perspective on things now. One thing that doesn't have anything involved with it is like I finally actually noticed Johnny Depp this time through.
Oh yeah, I did notice that. I was like, oh wow, Johnny
like
Depp.
I've always known he's in this movie, but like whenever I watch this movie, I don't know, like I never like recognize Johnny Depp. And like this time I watch, it's like, oh, there he is. Like, and I think the only time he actually speaks is when he's the interpreter. That's kind of like his only actually like big scene. Or there's a scene where he gets shot, but and the other thing is the lieutenant. I think it's Lieutenant Wolf.
Yeah.
I think because the first time or the other times I watched this movie, I don't think I really knew like ranking structure and stuff like that. And as soon as he shows up on scene, it's like, oh fuck, that's the officer, and he's trying to get to know his men. This is embarrassing.
Oh, when they're in the barracks.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I sit in for a hand? Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. Yeah. They make it very clear in a subtle way. It's like, we don't want you here.
I mean, like you're supposed to respect officers and things, but there's always like a time where it's like, okay, like when you're a lowly enlisted person, like you have a task to do, you never have the tools to do it, and then like, oh, here's an officer shows up, like, oh, yes, sir. Like, yeah. Oh, like, yeah. Well, like, yeah. Like, how's everything going? Like, good. Like, no, it isn't. It's like, you have everything you need? Like, yes. No, I don't.
That's what I like to hear.
It's like, I'm just going to say what you want to hear, so you leave so we can actually get shit done. I mean, officers are important, and they know a lot of shit, and they have a lot of things to do. Like, but, this isn't a movie where it's like, really, I mean, like, we read Matterhorn, and that was, like, from an officer's perspective, but, like, he was, like, a grunt officer, so.
Yeah.
But here, he's, like, the officer, just kind of like the guy who's supposed to be in charge and helpful, and he just completely falls in lines behind Barnes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, also, like, he's a lieutenant, and, like, I'm not sure how young he is, but, like, like, Barnes is a staff sergeant. He's got some years, so he's probably older than the lieutenant, and he knows more. And they probably, and they're in the shit, so they probably just give little as much fuck about like, who's in charge, other than like, well, we know who's gonna survive, so we're gonna follow that guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. They all knew Barnes was fucked up, but it's like, this guy always survives. Don't forget, whatever you think about him, understand you generally come home alive with him. So yeah, this was
also, like, one fucking hell of a cast.
Oh yeah, this is an amazing cast. We got Charlie Sheen, got a 20-year-old Willem Dafoe,
still looks 40. A young Willem Dafoe still looks old.
I had Keith David, Forrest Whitaker. I forgot Kevin Dillon was in this too. Yeah. And then of course John C. McGinley, who's like just like the best. He's like the most popular character actor. He seems like it. And
Which
Johnny Depp,
like most known for this and Scrubs. That's kind of his big two things. But yeah, he's all over the place. Like, you watch enough movies. Like, he's in Office Space and shit like that.
Yeah, he's ever. I just like, that's a guy didn't recognize. I didn't know he was in this. I hadn't seen this in a while, honestly. I knew Forrest Whitaker was in this too, but
And was it Todd Day?
forgot.
The guy who plays Candyman. He's in this.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I don't know, who plays Barnes? Fuck, I forget his name.
Tom Berenger.
Yeah, Tom Berenger.
Who's
Like
basically
I really remember him for the Sniper movies, not really for like good movies he's done.
yeah. I mean, he's essentially playing the same character.
I guess Major League. Yeah.
Yeah, Major League. But he's always just that guy. He's that gruff guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who looks at you and like, why the fuck are you talking to me? You know, and he carries that so well, no matter what it is. But yeah, that was this movie was a lot grittier than I remember for some reason.
You don't remember being that gritty?
No, I mean as far as like
I don't remember
the
like this time I took really notice of like all the bug stuff, like just lots of bug
yeah,
stuff.
that's what I'm talking about. Is like I don't remember how like I remember it was a war movie and there were people scared and shooting at each other and all that, but I don't remember like how many people were just being attacked by insects constantly and rain, and you know it kind of had like that Stand By Me feel. It's you know I forgot about how how gritty and earthy it was too. It's like, oh yeah, no wonder these people are smoking weed and miserable. This is terrible. Not only are people trying to shoot them, but they're being attacked by nature as well. Well, and I remember in Matterhorn too, like what a hellhole Vietnam was. Like it's just these people, their feet were constantly rotting. They were wet all the time. They could never get properly clean showers or anything. People are always shitting in their pants and stuff. It's like, oh, we don't have any more clothes for you, so just wear the clothes you shit in. And it's like, oh my god, it sounds awful. And
another thing that this doesn't really have to do with the story, but like in the book, he's talking about like F-16 like doing like bombing missions, and I was like, was an F-16 in Vietnam? And like I looked it up, and it's like they're like out there like towards the end of Vietnam, but I don't necessarily know.
I don't. Yeah,
because they do like when they have that like they drop napalm basically on their own position, like that's supposed to be an F-16 and that weird thing that represents an airplane, that weird effect that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that dreamlike napalm sequence with the plane. But yeah, I mean, you remember they made this movie for $6 million too. So
yeah. Well, I just remember like in the book too, he talks about F-16s doing bombing missions, and like, do they have F-16s in Vietnam? Like I always just think of the F-4 Phantoms for Vietnam.
Yeah, that's the Vietnam. That and the helicopter, the Bell helicopters, are what I think of. And then of course the one of the ones, the Strato Fortresses, that dropped more bombs than we dropped in World War II on Vietnam. But yeah, that was. But I mean, it could have been. I don't know. I mean, they were in development at the same. The F-16 was coming out, but that's like I don't.
Well, I looked up on Wikipedia, and it says like, well, I think it says like what Vietnam ended in like 1975, and so they're saying like it got out of development in 1974, so they're producing them. So they have some produced in 1974. But that's just the Wikipedia article. But they don't have like a section that's like service in Vietnam, like they usually do for cars and airplanes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I wasn't there, so
I don't know. I always think of an F-16 as a dogfighter, but yeah.
I mean that's its purpose. I just I don't associate with Vietnam. Or Oliver Stone could be wrong. Who knows?
We don't know. There was a lot of drugs consumed.
Yeah.
Both in the movie and in the writing of the movie and everything else. So. It's interesting to see Charlie Sheen as like a serious actor.
Yeah.
Like he's been so taken out of that when you see him again in this, and it's like, oh.
I don't think they talked about this in the book. I remember there's something like, they had everybody like doing like their boot camp to get them ready for the movie, and I think like they had Charlie Sheen just like show up the day of after everybody else is in be at boot camp, so they'd be immediately resentful of him.
Yeah, so they hated him. Yeah, They did that on Saving Private Ryan too with
Oh yeah.
what's his name? Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe I'm conflating the two, but
Yeah, it could. I mean, it's yeah. Directors do things like that.
Yeah.
Though.
well, also the
They
thing
set-
like what they shot it mostly in sequence. So like the end of the last shot of the movie is like the last day of shooting for Charlie Sheen, and so those were just real emotions of like finally being done with this fucking movie.
yeah, this hot hellhole. You know, they shot it in the Philippines, which it sounds like it's a whole lot better than Vietnam
No.
in terms of climate. But yeah, that was it's an interesting movie overall. It's not my favorite Oliver Stone movie,
No, but
and it's not my favorite Vietnam War movie because I don't really, it was never something I researched closely. But I always like Apocalypse Now
yeah.
because that seemed to make the most sense when you read anything about this war. It's like this seems very plausible. Probably dramatic, but it's like, yeah, this.
Well,
weird...
I mean, this had more of a political statement where Apocalypse Now is just more of like, check out this cool painting that we painted with Vietnam colors,
Yeah.
or the War of Vietnam. And it's just like very weird and abstract. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense for Vietnam because like it's like, what is this? Why are we doing this? Like that makes sense, but it's not necessarily like making like, oh yeah, like we had tons of friendly fire and we don't know what we're doing and everything was wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing seems right. Where this seemed to be more of the one of the first movies to actually do that, because you think of like, because he's talking about the book, and like one of the first like Vietnam movies was like some Faye Dunaway movie called like Coming Home or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And then you have like Deer Hunter in there too, but like even Vietnam and Deer Hunter isn't necessarily like making a political statement. It's like, well, then they go off to war and get fucked up.
Yeah, they had happy lives. They went to play some weird kind of gambling Russian roulette. They come back home and they hate their lives because of all the horrible shit that happened to them. This was more like a nuts and bolts of the horrible shit that happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
why
this is the grunt's eye view of Vietnam. So it's like you're never given like the overview. It's like, this is what they're supposed to be doing. You're just like put in their position. It's like, what are they doing? It's like, we don't know.
they're not even sure.
Command told us to go here, so this is where we went.
Yeah, this seems to parallel a lot of things in Matterhorn.
But then also you think about like when First Blood came out, but that's about like a guy coming home from Vietnam. But also like Rambo First Blood Part 2, that came out before this as well, and that was more of like kind of like a, hey, let's rewrite the Vietnam War as if we won it with one guy named Rambo.
Yeah. One guy shows up and takes the ball across the line. All the demons are excised now. Yeah.
Because that was kind of like, I think Oliver Stone was talking about in the book about like kind of the restructuring of the Vietnam War as like it's like a noble cause that didn't go our way, and trying to bring honor back to it.
Yeah, he hated that shit. He was always like, what are you talking about? They didn't know what they were doing.
Oh, Andrew, did you rewatch this movie?
No, I didn't know I was supposed to because I didn't get that from the notes. I've never liked the movie anyway, so I wasn't probably gonna watch. So I don't. It's not a bad movie. It's just never resonated with me and never been like, yeah, I need to watch that again. So kudos to Oliver Stone for pulling it off, because I mean, it sounds like it's a fucking shitty ass shoot. Fucking wasn't fun to work on. I mean.
But you were correct, Nathan. This was Oliver Stone's highest grossing movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the what do you call that? Not depreciation. What's the stuff where like
the ratios?
The
ratio of profitability versus production cost.
No, like the fucking, what do you call it? Like, how they say like Gone with the Wind technically made $1 billion because if you do the exchange rate for modern times, what the fuck's that called?
Oh, yeah, the appreciation of currency or something.
Yeah, something like, fuck, I can't remember the term. But anyways, Yeah, like it ends up being like almost like $500 million or something for this movie.
Yeah.
Which I think the one that got close to that was JFK or something like that.
Yeah. JFK was JFK had that weird like second release too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people panned it and then like, oh, this isn't any good, and then then people started discovering it like, wait, I want to see that again. But yeah, no, this was
Yeah, it's like this is the most successful movie and won a bunch of Oscars for it, so it's probably ultimately this is Oliver Stone's high. So.
Yeah, I think this is the closest to his heart, like in terms of experiences. It was all written from the heart. Like he knew exactly what he was doing and talking about when he was writing.
Although I feel like probably nowadays you could probably do without the voiceover.
Yeah, no one does the voiceover anymore.
Well, I just feel like it was like you didn't need it for this movie, but I feel like it would have just been like there would be like a really uncomfortable emptiness if there wasn't a voiceover for some of that stuff. But I feel like you probably don't need it. You probably get away with not having it.
Yeah,
but it is kind of interesting. Like he writes home to his grandma and not his parents, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, he was also someone who did not have to be in the war.
Yeah,
because he had a college deferment, and apparently parents were wealthy enough that he chose to do this, which kind of paralleled Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because everyone's like, "What? Are you crazy?" But yeah, that was this was a war. And this I remember when I was a kid, I was real little. I was like 12 years old when this came out. But a lot of people had a real visceral emotional reaction to this movie because it wasn't as abstract and weird as Apocalypse Now. Like people could relate to it, especially people that fought in that war and just tried to come home and forget about it, but never did. Like that, this movie made people talk about things again.
Yeah.
And then of course a lot of the Reagan, like he was saying in his book, a lot of the Reagan patriots and stuff were like, why are you doing this? This is terrible. I can't believe you're saying this. This isn't what happened. People didn't use drugs like you're portraying them. Okay.
Soldiers didn't kill each other.
Yeah, that never happened. There was a lot of criticism like that, which no one took seriously then or now. But yeah, there's a certain subset of America that just believes all those things. It's like, oh, these Hollywood people get it all wrong. It's like, well, the guy actually fought in this war. It's not an abstract thing for him. But that's the kind of shit.
And they had Dale Dodd on there as the technical advisor, also an actor. He's like a captain. He's the captain who calls the airstrike on themselves, and Oliver Stone is like some commander or whatever in a tent that gets blown up by like the suicide sapper.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about the guy with the explosive charge on his vest. There was a lot of things I forgot about this movie until I rewatched it.
Yeah.
Like it seemed to blend in with other movies, but everything I remember was like, oh, that's from this movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I put other things into this movie. It's like, oh yeah, that I remember that.
For some reason, I always remember Forrest Whitaker. I think his name's Ra or something. The guy who like.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah, and he's like pounding his chest as he's taking off. I always remember that as Forrest Whitaker. I don't know why. Because there's that point where Forrest Whitaker like gets like blown up by a trip mine. He's not dead, but he's injured. He's getting taken away. It's like, oh, when's he come back? Like, no, he's out of the movie.
Yep, that's it for him. But yeah, they and there's like my copy of this movie. There's like, of course, I didn't realize that they had a bunch of different what is it? The commentaries on that too.
Yeah.
Which is like, I missed that because Oliver Stone always does like every movie he has is like, now it's got 15 commentary tracks. I don't know if they do that anymore, but
it's been a long time. So it's kind of a thing I miss, but I don't do it anymore because I'm not like under the auspice of like I'm gonna be a filmmaker, so I just don't bother with that stuff. Used to really enjoy it, but
well, Oliver Stone I like because he always had his like. We're going to talk about the like when he does one with the DP. It's like, oh, that's going to be the movie making one. but usually the first track is going to be like, this is all my political thoughts and my writing
Yeah.
process. And those are usually interesting to me. I think there was 3 of those on JFK, but they were all like, this is the conspiracy. This is why this is happening. So I imagine I've listened to all of those at one time or another.
I've listened to most of his, but I've just forgotten them. So, and I don't know where those DVDs are. I probably sold all of them. So, I really wish Amazon had a thing where it's like, hey, spend an extra $5 and you get commentary tracks and special editions and stuff.
Yeah, they just don't do it.
Yeah, the only place I see that does that is the Microsoft Store does that for some videos, not all of them.
Oh, okay.
But you can get like commentary. You can get like basically like what would be on the Blu-ray. You can just digitally download all that shit.
Yeah, who else is doing that? Oh, my on-demand service. If you buy a movie, you have the option to listen to commentary track too.
Huh.
But I've never bought a movie through my on-demand service.
I mean, is it the same thing it used to be where it first came out with special features where it's like, oh, who's going to want to hear that? Who's going to want to pay for that? Maybe it's just more of a cost thing for them that's like, we don't include it. We don't have to worry about,
I don't know. There's probably a weird rights issue with like what they can stream, where like it was probably cheaper to buy just the standard version. Because there's like all that weird shit. It's like I buy all these digital things off of Amazon, but like in some technical sense, I don't own it.
Yeah, you just own the rights to watch it as
Yeah.
many times as you want to, but that right can be revoked. Yeah, and then like the commentary tracks, that's like comes from that, like, what do you call it? Like the golden age of the DVD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that stuff started on Laserdisc. Where they started. Yeah. Because like a lot of those like Criterion collections with like commentaries, like those are like they like ripped it from their Laserdisc and put it on DVD and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because
Well, I
like
mean-
Criterion used to be a Laserdisc company.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'm talking about is like the era when you had like guests, like you had Kevin Smith like come in and guest commentary. Like nobody does.
Kevin Smith did a commentary track for Roadhouse.
Yeah, I did one for Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
And he's done a few of them, yeah, but it's just like you don't see that anymore.
Or like even like commentary tracks that Kevin Smith did was so popular that when he did they did the release for Jersey Girl, they just threw Kevin Smith's face on like the DVD for Jersey Girl, even though he's not in the movie.
Oh, just because his evening with stuff they were trying to
Yeah,
cash.
it's like, oh, it's Kevin Smith sold tons of DVDs, just throw his face on there. I mean, he wrote and directed the movie, why not?
I still like that movie, and I don't think people appreciate it enough for what it does.
No, that just got caught up in the Geely hate. Geely also not that terrible of a movie, but also just a fucking weird movie. So
Yeah.
I've
I've never watched it. Never watched it, though. Maybe sometime, I don't know, if I'm really...
I mean, it's not worth it. It's too long, and it's not really that funny, but it's not like as terrible as everyone says it is. It's just kind of like, oh, they're dating. I bet this movie will be good, and because it wasn't good, they're like, oh, it's terrible then. Like, if it's not good, it has to be terrible. It ruined their relationship and their career. That was the wake of Jersey Girl. And then you feel that, and then Will Smith shows up, and it's like, oh, does this movie mean something? Like, why'd they hide that? It's like, well, they wanted it to be a surprise. You tell people Will Smith's in the movie, then maybe they'd show up.
Rich and attractive people having sex and fun. Destroy them.
Well, there's one of the Action Boys. They have a side podcast called Shadow Wolves, where they kind of do different movies rather than action movies, and they did Scent of a Woman, and that was directed by Martin Brest, and like they talk a lot about his movies, and that was Geely was his last movie, and he hasn't directed a movie since Geely, so it kind of ruined his fucking career.
Wow.
Serves him right, for doing.
All right. Well, that's all I got for this week.
All right.
So this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.